Well, hey everybody, and welcome to our Collider Blacklist recap show here, of course, on Collider Video for the season premiere, Season 3, Episode 1 of the Blacklist. We've been counting this down, getting ready for it. Of course, some of you will remember we did our preseason special last week, and it's the whole crew joining me again. I'm one of your hosts. My name's John Campia, and sitting over here on my left...
Hey everybody, I'm Wendy, and I'm so excited to talk about the season premiere.
I
almost said season finale, which is why I froze.
I thought you were going to say the two. I was like, wait, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I fast forwarded.
Sitting over here on my right.
What's up, guys? Xavier Brinkman here with you, ready to go. Let's do it.
And over there on the end.
Hi guys, Kat Ensley here. I'm back and I'm ready for season 3. Let's do this.
All right, so oh wow, okay, so
yes.
Earlier this week, NBC released like the first 5 minutes of episode 1, and we probably shouldn't have, but we sat down and watched it anyway.
Yeah,
and it was great. It's the whole escape scene and stuff like that, and it did exactly what it was designed to do. It whet my appetite, wanting more. And so sure enough, it starts off tonight and we get more. We got season 1. So we're going to structure our show tonight a little bit like this. We're going to talk about things we really liked about the episode, talk about some of the things that maybe we weren't so thrilled about with the episode, and then we're going to take some of your Twitter questions. And by the way, you can tweet to us and communicate with us anytime. Just send tweets using the hashtag Collider Blacklist. And then we will pick out some of your questions and some of your stuff, and maybe you'll see your tweet on our show. With all of that out of the way, let's go and start on that end of the table. Kat, what are some of the things that you liked about this season 3 premiere of the Blacklist?
I'm going to my notes. Sorry, guys. I'm going to my notes. Okay, there we go. Well, first of all, I love the way that this season has started. It has started, it picked up exactly where it left off. The two of them in the car trying to get away, and Red being like, this is DC. We can't get out. There's no way. And so let's go to a bunker and drink some really good wine that's been sitting in here for 10 years. That was probably my favorite part, is that in their little bunker where they went and hid for a good 15, 20 minutes of the episode, he still pulled out a really good bottle of wine and sat there just sipping it like it was a Sunday afternoon and he was in Barbados. I just love that. That he's literally on the run with this woman that he cares deeply about, and yet... why not open up a good Cabernet?
Love it.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I loved seeing a little further into Dembe, the character. He has a family, and he has a daughter who has a child, and he went after it, and he's obviously trying to take care of business, and I feel like gives so much more insight into him as a character. I think it was great. I loved seeing it. Second thing was just seeing Liz Keane, the physical and psychological transformation that we're seeing. Like, she's not only blonde, made her hair blonde, but she's also, encouraged by Red at the end there. He's like, you need to use your instincts that you were born with, and she did. She pulled off an amazing trick at the end there. So I think that's the two things I loved from this episode.
What about you, Wendy?
I'm going to go ahead and echo your thoughts. Obviously, we were so excited to see how they were going to pull off escaping DC. And Red, right off the bat, I love that he was like, there's no way. And Liz knew that. She even knew the protocols that it wasn't going to happen. So I really like how far they were able to stretch the resources and their intelligence and how they can make the situation work. And I like that the show didn't make it easy for them to escape. It definitely wasn't easy at all. And like you said, I really liked seeing, the personal side of Dembe. And we were also introduced to a new person we haven't seen before in the Cabal, which is really exciting too, Mr. Solomon.
Mr. Solomon is his name. Tell us the actor's name.
Edi Gathegi.
Oh, we were going to say it so wrong.
We were going to say it so wrong.
Yeah, we were discussing.
Edi
Tell us
Gathegi.
what's it been? You're saying he's been on X-Men as well before?
Yeah, he was Darwin in X-Men.
Good,
yeah, so he was Darwin X-Men.
Yeah, he was on Justified.
He was in a couple of the Twilight films as I can't remember the name of the vampires, one of the vampires, but
Laurent.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wendy knows.
He just looked scarily familiar, didn't he?
The moment he came on screen, he looked super familiar.
With that baby face, and yet he's still so terrifying.
Yeah, the total baby face, although he's pushing 40 years old, but still whatever, but he still looks like he could have been a 19-year-old dude.
He's really almost 40?
I think he's like 37,
wow,
something
well
along those
done,
lines.
sir.
So,
yeah.
Well done.
Several things really stood out to me that I really loved about this episode, starting off with the very beginning. Now don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with shows that end one season and then the next season starts and it's 6 months later. I don't mind. That's fine. But there's something I find something incredibly satisfying about starting a new season, and it's literally the moment the last season left off at. Last season ends with Red and Keen getting into that van. This season starts with them in that van. And I love that it picked it right up. It made me feel like what off-season break. I felt like I just watched the last episode last week. And I love that thing. So I love that they did that. That opening little heist kind of idea. The opening of this episode felt like a heist film in many ways. It's like, how are they going to pull this off? How do they get out of this? Wait a minute, they went under the bridge. How did they disappear from the bridge? That was really cute and clever. I also like that the FBI aren't portrayed as idiots. It's like, they figured it out in about 30 seconds, but that's all Red needed. He just needed 30 seconds to get them out. I also really liked that when they check in to their hideout hotel, and there's an unexpected circumstance there. The dude's sister is there, right?
A little wrinkle.
I knew she was going to be trouble.
I like the fact that the show shows us consequences to Red's non-evil behavior. Because there's that woman there. Any other movie where fugitives or criminals on the run and there's that girl shows up, they plug that girl and then they hide. Red obviously doesn't do that. But it's not just, all good deeds are rewarded. No good deed goes unpunished. He spares her. It's like, okay, that's cool, that's fine. And I like the fact that there were consequences to his good deeds. And that made it interesting. I thought, I didn't know how they were going to get out of that.
Handy that they had that little escape route.
So this little bomb shelter has an air vent.
It's fine.
Everything's got an air vent. It's perfectly cool. Never mind the fact that they only had about a 23-second head start on the FBI. It's like, well, that's the way they got out. No point in chasing them. So, okay, Ressler.
No point in climbing through there.
You're sharp. Also, we talked about Edi or Eddie, however his name's right in EDI, obviously a member of the Cabal, kind of now acting as the representative of the rest of the members of the Cabal, not so happy with the director at this point. That first moment when we see him in the baby's room, and if the intention of the performer was to pull off creepy and terrifying as hell, he does. We were just talking about it before the cameras came on that I actually don't think he looks all that creepy. He looks like kind of harmless. It is the way he projects himself and speaks and talks and carries himself that makes him brutally, not a physically intimidating looking dude.
No, not
He's
at all.
a small guy, kind of skinny, whatever. Nothing but
long neck.
long neck.
Like a giraffe.
But man, like what an actor. Like he just portrayed power. And I bought it. Now, speaking of that and that scene with the baby, I think all of us lifted about an inch out of our chairs when Dembe shows up.
And she went, Daddy! And we all went,
What? We're like, whoa! It's like, and like,
all of us, huh?
I remember thinking about 5 minutes before we started watching the episode, you know what? I don't remember anybody saying Dembe's going to be back this season. Like last season, it ends with Red and Dembe hug and a kiss on the cheek. It's like, okay, they're planning on saying goodbye for like a while. Maybe Dembe's not even in this season. And then he shows up. Dembe's a grandfather. Who knew? So Dembe shows up. Whatever. Then he goes and hunts down the guy. Because I think I said it out loud. When you realize it was Dembe's granddaughter they took, I think the first thing I said was, that was a mistake. And then the first thing Dembe does, he just walks right up to the place, kills a couple of guys, whatever. So that was really interesting the way they handled that. Man, I could go on and on and on and on about the number of things that I really loved about this episode. But let's focus in on a couple of the specifics here. One of the things that we find going in this season, and we kind of knew this at the end of last season, Ressler is now kind of the guy in charge. And he is both a little bit torn and a little bit conflicted, but he seems of singular purpose in there. How did Ressler come across to you, Kat? What did you think of him in this episode?
Well, for this episode especially, I know that he's been feeling a lot of guilt because he says that at one point to Harold and he's to Cooper, and he's like, "You were complicit. I was complicit." He's like, "I let her go." I mean, and what is her name? The really awesome badass chick.
Navabi?
Thank you. And she is now not trusting Ressler because she knows that he did something for Keen. And I think that that's a really interesting dynamic to now that you have the head of this new unit, but you've got you've got her who now doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
He doesn't really trust himself.
Yeah.
He now feels guilty because the director or oh my gosh, I'm like
Attorney General?
Thank you, Attorney General. Why can't I think of anybody's name today? Because
he's dead,
he feels like he was part of killing the Attorney General because he let her go.
Right.
If he hadn't have let her go, he wouldn't be dead. But then again, if he hadn't have let her go, she would be up against all false accusations instead of now that she's up against a real one. So I kind of have enjoyed him, but I actually wrote down a couple moments as we were watching. I called them douche moment 1 and douche moment 2 for Ressler when he was talking and he was like, no, you believe me though, right? You believe that she's innocent. He's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna walk away from you, not even look at you or acknowledge your existence. And I was like, you're kind of pulling a little Red moment there.
Yeah.
That like people ask you a question and you just go. And just look
Walk
away.
away, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoy him in this role. I enjoy seeing him conflicted, and I enjoy also seeing like his underlying feelings for Keen, kind of being like, oh, I should catch her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, but I want to catch her, but I really don't.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really fun to see like how they play with him this season.
What do you think, Xavier?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's doing a really great job of projecting his insecurities. You know, he's going extra hard on the task force, obviously because he's like, God damn it, this is my fault.
Yeah.
You know, I think I have a love-hate relationship with him. I think he plays a douchey role really well, and so I guess it's like I love to hate him. But I think he's done a great job of seeming conflicted. So you know, it's a positive and negative.
What do you think of Ressler this episode?
Oh man, I did not like him in this episode. He was such a jerk. And I felt in the beginning, before he let on his feelings and how he felt conflicted and he let her go and he feels that he's to blame, was that I was like, okay, well, he's stepping into this new position, so now he's got to take charge and be mean and mean business.
None of us can talk today.
Yeah, dude.
What's going on? I took a nap even.
I hear ya.
All right. So it wasn't until he confessed to Harold that he felt that it was his fault that the Attorney General was killed, that I was like, oh, he's putting up the wall because of that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we kind of see that struggle also is going to put a little bit of a snag on his relationship with Navabi, because she's like, well, I question your judgment because you let her go. And she figured it out immediately.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like,
You also
had
just
60
shot
seconds.
a guy inches from my face.
Oh
Even though
my
he was a
gosh,
good
Yeah, there
shot.
was that.
So
There was that.
pissed off.
He was a good shot.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I get her pissed offness about it, but
it was one defining badass moment for Ressler.
What did you think of of him confiding in Cooper? Telling him his
I
little
love
secret.
it because they had that relationship in the beginning.
Yeah, remember Ressler,
Yeah.
he admires Cooper. Like,
Sure.
he really respects him a lot. So I remember at the first moment, I thought, wait, why is he telling this? And then I thought about it, and like, no, this makes total sense. And
Yeah.
if there's anybody who's going to confide this in,
Yeah.
it would be Cooper at this point.
Something that I wonder though, like in that moment, because you know they started the scene and then they kind of backed up and we just saw them talking through a window. I wonder, did Cooper tell him that the Attorney General was planning on destroying everyone?
He did.
not
He
just
did.
Keen. Yeah,
He said, and even you.
and
Yeah.
even you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
okay, I
And
missed
Ressler,
that
Ressler
part.
kind of brushed it off though. He
Yeah,
didn't
that's what kind
acknowledge
of
it.
bugged me. I wanted him to be like, okay, please tell me about this.
This is the thing. I was going to save that one for some of my negatives
Oh,
on the show.
sorry.
But this is a good point as any to bring it up. I remember when Cooper was explaining to him, look, the Attorney General, was an international terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A part of the Cabal, and laid out like Scooby-Doo fashion when they finally catch. The only thing he didn't say is we would get away with it wasn't for your meddling kids. That's the only thing the Attorney General did not
And
say.
pull off a mask.
He laid out the entire plan. We're going to take down Ressler for his drugs. We're going to extradite
Navabi.
Navabi back to Iran. We're going to do this to this person you love. We're going to do this to this person you love, blah, blah, blah. And the extent of Ressler's response was, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It very much matters. If you want to follow the rule book, then buy the rule book. This really matters.
Yep.
This is very important and very key.
And in
Yeah.
that sense, like she did her job. Her job as an FBI agent is to take down terrorists. She took down a terrorist.
Yeah.
She did her job. Just saying.
That part was, I understand they're trying to paint Ressler right now in this light of, he is in many ways the Boy Scout. He is, I follow the rules. And he says it in the show. It is my job to uphold the law. And I get that. But when they kind of overlook the fact that, no, wait a minute, this information Cooper's given him, this is pertinent to the law.
Sure.
This is, you can't just go, oh no, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of matter.
Yeah.
That whole one scene though, I gotta look. It was kind of stupid in some way when he shot the guy that was holding the Bobby by the whatever. it was really badass, and I really liked it. It was the one moment that I really loved Ressler. But I will say this, considering Ressler was half kind of behind the door, and there's like this much of the drug dealer's head, and Ressler didn't even aim.
No,
he's like, twang! It's like,
And then he
okay,
walked
but whatever.
out, like
And
dropped the mic and walked out.
so as dumb as that was, as really dumb and as unbelievable it was, I bought it.
Yeah.
I bought it.
You're right, though. That was a total drop.
It was like he had no tears. Like, we're in a drug bust that I don't care for right now. I'm gonna pop a cap and walk out of here. Like, he didn't even care to see if he made it. He's like, all right, let's go and get
I just
King.
wanted to put his hands up and go, boom.
Yeah.
Well, I wondered too because
Keeping you
Navabi dropped
saying
with
Papa
the
Cat sounds
suspect.
Yeah, right?
So I was like, does she get shot in the head now? Because I just saw blood splatter. They just show her drop with the guy.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Now, if they
are
wanted to
gonna cover
make us
this?
believe Russell's a real badass, he would have shot the bad guy through her.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't negotiate with terrorists. Through both of them at the same time. Well, let's talk about Navabi for a second, because I'm struggling with her in this sense that she and Keen, if you go back over the past, especially last season, she and Keen have had some very key and pivotal moments together. I am having a difficult time buying into her doubt about Keen.
Thank you.
I'm having a very, very difficult time buying into her doubt about the whole situation. It's like, it would be different if she just joined this squad 2 weeks ago. And it's like, yeah, she seems nice, but there's a lot of this evidence, but like, she's been through life and death situations with Keen a lot, and seen Keen's character. And the fact that she's just like, nope, she's just a fugitive. I'm struggling with that a little
Now
bit.
she's unsure of Ressler as well.
Yeah, but I mean,
she's
also
just side-eyeing everyone.
when she was brought in,
That side-eyeing.
she was brought in by Red.
Yeah.
Like, Red is the one who brought her in. She works for Reddington. Like, she's the one, she showed up, and remember last week, the gracious what's-his-butt, who I have now dubbed, where that she, when she Novocained him and all, she didn't tell the FBI where she was going. She just went and helped Red on a moment's notice. So is this just an act? Is she telling Ressler that she doesn't trust him?
That's what I'm wondering,
So that
too.
Ressler now doubts himself, and then he screws up and King gets away.
I think it absolutely is. I think I think Red implanted her in the agency for when something like this would come up. So she's kind of side-eyeing everybody and making herself seem like I am only here for the FBI and to catch King. So when she does help him escape, no one's gonna doubt her. It's like the perfect
And she's
scapegoat.
not revealing it to Aram. She's not revealing it to anybody. And I think the one reason I think that maybe you're right, and I hope you're right, is because she is so cold-blooded about this. Like, I'm thinking, so maybe, just maybe, because I am having a little bit of a hard time with that. Or let's talk about then. We had finally read at the end of last season, he released the fulcrum. And it's out there now. So now we've got David Strathern. He's now coming out. What did we think about, number one, the response of the director, and then number two, the position we find him in now with the rest of the Cabal? Xavier, let's start with you.
Sorry, can you say the question again there? I didn't
Okay,
want
so
to
we now see the director,
let's start with
He
Kat.
has his press conference. He's doing all this. What do we think about this position we find him in now?
Yeah.
And what do we think this means for him now as far as his position within the Cabal
being
itself?
being threatened by the babyface killer.
Yes, by the
Yeah.
babyface killer.
Babyface killer.
Geez, it was a tough situation. You saw the fear in his face. I mean, you saw it, and the fact that he had come forth after having the position was secret for 65 years, right? You can. I mean, honestly, I find it very hard to predict what he's going to do now that he doesn't have the leverage of the Cabal behind him. And what did he say? You're only breathing because pretty much said
Every
every
breath you
take is because we're allowing
granted.
it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, what really is there for this guy to do? Where is his power coming from now?
I think now he's the puppeteer. Now he's not the puppeteer, but the puppet.
Yeah.
He's kind of now not as glorified as he used to be, and now his identity is shown to the world.
Sure.
And now he doesn't have a trump card he can pull out of his pocket anymore.
He's
What's
completely
left for him?
exposed. Yeah.
And the upheaval is believable because this is an organization that is completely based on secrecy. And under this guy's leadership, the fulcrum got out. And it completely, I'm actually surprised that they didn't just end him. I'm kind of surprised they kept him alive. And it does something that, the show needed to do, and I was wondering in the offseason how they're going to do it. In season 2, you have to up the threat. You have to have now the bigger, badder bad guy. You have to go, and it seems now they've given us that. I am kind of surprised they didn't kill David Strathairn. As a matter of fact, I think the only reason they didn't kill the director is because it would be too high profile at this point.
Yeah, because
I think otherwise they would've
the
killed
Attorney
him.
General did just get shot. So, you know, I mean, and he was one of the other parts I feel like that's still in the government. Like, who's left now?
He's just come
besides
forth
him?
as a representative for the government. So for him to get shot is a big deal, I guess, right?
Yes.
Now that people know he works
And
for
raise
the
a
government.
lot of flags
Yeah.
and a lot of questions.
So maybe
and all that
that's
kind of
why they're like,
stuff.
all right, we'll let you live, but as long as you know that we're letting you live.
Oof, every breath you take is because we allow it.
He's going to
What
die
a
a horrible death by
terrifying
the end of the
sentence.
season, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, let's then talk about another thing that I thought was a very positive thing about this episode. Let's talk about the ending of this episode. When, you know, Keen makes a break for the Russian embassy.
Yep.
It's like she's going all in.
I thought she
she's-
was running to Tom, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I thought she was going to Tom's
Too
hangout.
predictable. I heard it. I liked it
really?
at the start, then I'm like, she couldn't be going to Tom.
Well,
right?
we knew she couldn't be going to Tom because Tom split at the end of last
True,
season.
but his name was in the
could-
credits at the beginning, so that's what confused
Could
me. I was like,
she be going to his place? That was one thing.
I thought maybe that warehouse where he.
All right,
he
I got a question
Right.
for you guys. So when Keen said the address, she said the street address, and Red said, "Don't go there." He knew. He's like, "Don't."
knows that-
Who knows the address of the Russian embassy?
Reddington.
Like, who's like? How do
address
you,
of
and he
every
knew it straight
embassy.
away. How does he have that on lock? Like, he just knew.
I mean, this I think shows how closely related he must have been with Elizabeth's mom.
Yeah.
That he would know this address right off the bat.
Straight
then
up,
that-
didn't
that-
hesitate, didn't
yeah.
think. He's like,
Lizzie,
"Oh,
no,
that sounds
no."
familiar. That street
But
corner.
look, all due respect, that's why he's Red and you're Xavier.
Oh, burn.
mic drop.
But,
Fair enough.
But what did we think about? Because she gets her, and as a matter of fact, when we see Ressler, is catching up on the car, I thought, oh, you know what? I bet that's not even Elizabeth. I bet that's that body double she met in the house now with blonde hair. But no, it was really her, and she hops the fence and stuff like that. I personally thought it was a great WTF ending.
I agree.
Yes.
Like, I really did.
I thought
It
it
was
was great.
great. It brought the episode to a satisfying conclusion while going, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I loved it. What did you think of the ending?
I wasn't expecting it. I expected that they were going to catch her. They were so close, and she started to take off running. And I'm like, this doesn't look like a neighborhood of homes. And when she starts climbing, I was like, is she going to the embassy? She's going to the embassy. Which now, what I worry about is that Ressler's he was going to have some sort of like give her a benefit of the doubt. And now he's thinking maybe she really is a Russian spy.
Yeah.
After all of that, but I mean, she did it for her own safety. And what else was there to do? She wasn't going to be able to get out. But I loved it. I love that she finally kind of comes to terms with this situation and made a snap decision that was going to be best for her and went with it. She didn't second guess it.
And that's what Red said in her, I think in my notes I actually called it a dad speech. Like, he gave her the believe in yourself, go with your instincts. You may not have ever met your mother, but you have her instincts in you.
Sure.
Do what is best for you to save your
Right.
own life. And that just gave her that brilliant idea of, you're like, all right, you wanna come for me? You think I'm a Russian spy? Fine, Russia's gonna save me. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm so glad he finally related to how much she is like her mom, because
when
when
she
she
walked
first
in.
showed off her blonde hair and she was like, what do you think? And it rendered him speechless.
The performance
He couldn't
in that
speak.
scene
Is
Yeah.
beautiful.
was awesome.
Can I just say, though, a girl with that color dark hair is not going to look that good when doing blonde hair by herself in a bathroom. I'm sorry. There is no way her hair is
All
going to
due
look that
respect,
good coming
but
out of the
that's
bathroom.
why she's Keen and you're Cat.
Oh,
No, but if she's using box hair color, all you girls out there know what I'm saying.
you got me good too.
No, you're right. I'm
No,
definitely
you
not.
are absolutely like,
Fair enough.
she stepped
It was
out of
so
a
pretty and, like-
5-team salon.
And it was like 1950s, like
But anyway,
Hollywood
that's-
waves. I was like, no,
this is
sweetie, that's not
TV.
how it looks
We'll
when
let
you bleach your
something
hair.
We'll let this go. We'll,
That's
we'll
fine.
suspend our disbelief
That's
on the
fine.
hair color for a second.
Yeah,
That was my biggest like what the F moment.
But going back to, I can't believe we forgot, going back to that scene, yet
Sorry.
another big positive I think of this episode was that scene when they're in that apartment and what we can only assume is the housekeeper comes in and he's like, oh, no, we're not going to hurt you. We're just going to take your phone and lock you in the bathroom.
And you're, by the way, your hair looks
hair is
Flattering
great.
hair.
She's like, oh,
And she
gracias,
sort of
she's so
blushes.
taken.
He's-
Thank you.
He's his class to the end, isn't he?
But,
Yeah.
but
Class,
that's
class,
it exactly
class.
right. Like that scene, that was, if you wanted to understand or encapsulize Red in one quick scene,
It's that.
that's it. It's like, I've got the gun. I'm terrifying. I can do whatever, but I'm going to be charming and
Yeah.
delightful.
Yep.
And I'm just going to show you to the bathroom now
Yeah.
and everything's fine. Like it was so him. and
I bet
loved
you
it.
money she like hugged him before she
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
Like she
Oh,
probably
yeah.
like gave him a hug and was like, "Thank you, Mr. Reddington." And like went and just like sat in the tub and was like, "All right, just
When can I
like,
leave?
No, it was great.
So, I mean, there's a, oh, wow. Now, before we get into our negatives though, you can almost audibly hear the tick, tick, tick. It's the counting down clock to at some point, Tom comes in and saves the day somewhere.
Yeah.
Does he not? I mean, is that not inevitable at this point? Like, when they showed, for those of you who didn't see it, you know, at the end of every episode, they'll show you a quick, like, 30-second thing of next week, and we see the transport and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be shocked if we see Tom next week.
I won't either.
Because we've already seen Red do something very out of character for Red, which was, and this would go under my negatives in a way, but I kind of get it and I understand it, where Red stabs his guy in the back. The guy who just got him out, he gave him up.
Yep.
And that's not something Red can do. You cannot be betraying the people that are working with you. And he did it like that. And at first that really bothered me. But then when I realized, no, this is the showrunner's way and their device of showing how desperate he is to protect Liz. And he will do whatever it is. And I believe it's that desperation that I think at some point, whether it's next episode or 3 episodes from now, that will lead Red to call Tom. Even though he does not like Tom, he doesn't think they need Tom. This type of situation, this type of desperation that they just exhibited with him giving up his own guy, I think opens the door for him to be the one to bring Tom back in to try to help rescue Liz. I don't know. Is a wild theory terrible?
How do you think that him giving up his accomplice would protect Liz? What do you mean by that?
It distracted them.
Well, he got that.
Well, he had to give him
It gave him
something.
the deal with Wrestlers. Like, look, I'll give you a blacklister. You give me your word. You'll give her the benefit of the doubt on everything. And so, like, and that's not much. He's really not much, but he understands that's the position. He is so desperate to protect Liz. He will give up $1 million to get $5 back in return. Anything that he can get to try to help Liz out. He's even willing to do something that is so against his character, which is, I believe, something we have to believe now about Red if we're going to believe him calling in Tom at some point. But I don't know. Is Tom been keeping his eye on the situation the whole time? And does he sweep in on his own? I don't know.
I feel like Tom is probably going to show up, hopefully in the next episode, because I know that, you know, if you guys watch the 30-second thing after with that Red thinks that something is rank.
The Russians are going to kill her.
The Russians are going to kill her now. But Tom, from the last few seasons, Tom is such a good chameleon into becoming a German neo-Nazi, to becoming a kindergarten teacher, to becoming whatever he was before he met Liz. And could he also morph into someone who works for the Russian government?
Not
someone
that fast.
But could he though? Because it took him one bar fight to get into like the neo-Nazi hierarchy.
There was supposed to be months between when he disappeared and then when we get reintroduced to him again in Germany. Like, that had been a process of months of getting to know people on low levels,
well, that's
getting the
fair.
tattoos, and then working ways up, and then getting into that fight.
Brushing up on German.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like that's going to be. I feel like he's going to come in his element, like undercover, playing
it would be
someone
consistent
different
with the show.
Yeah. And also because I mean, at the last second, it was something like Keen, and then like open the door and she wasn't there. Like, to open the door to the car. Like, what if she and Tom are running off hand in hand somewhere? You know. Like, what if that's when he shows up?
How do you think Tom's going to get brought back in here?
I think Tom is going to come in by his own choice, not because Red calls him. I don't think Red will ever. Well, reluctantly he will if he does, but I really think Tom, he's going to do it for the love of Liz. Or is it Jacob now, I guess?
Jacob.
I'm going to call him Tom. Yeah, I think he's going to come in and save her in his own way. He is not going to wait around for Red to call him, because he's the one that's always been reaching out in past episodes and past seasons. Like, let me help. I can do this. I can help her. Let me, take her to safety for you. And now I think he's going to prove himself one more time to Red. I can take care of your girl. Just let me in.
Sure.
Although what is kind of funny was that Tom was saying, let me take her away on my boat, take her away. And Red was saying to her, if you run from this, you're running for the rest of your life. Stand and fight, stand and fight. And where does the season start? Him trying to just get her out of town and running. So, okay, sure, Red, whatever. All right, well, let's talk about some of the things that maybe leaves us scratching our heads a little bit. It's like, really, what's that? Like, I've already mentioned, I didn't like that whole scene when it's like that the Attorney General was going to basically screw over the whole country and take all of you, her friends, down. It doesn't matter. Yes, it did matter.
Yeah, it does.
The fact that a lot of people on her own team, we mentioned her, but also Ressler himself has been through so much with her. I'm having a hard time grasping this. They're not giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like, I get that they're still trying to do their jobs and catch her, but they seem to be doing it without any qualms. It's like, no, she's got to go down. Oh,
she is a Russian spy.
But besides that, like, let's start with you, Wendy, a little bit. what maybe some other things that maybe didn't sit right with you in this particular episode?
You kind of covered it, but I have to say this episode's Blacklister, the troll farmer, is like one of the weakest ones I've seen in all 2 seasons combined. I mean, his ability is to Photoshop.
His ability is awesome, but
I think it's really interesting.
It's
cool.
I
feel like it's very
great.
2015. Like the fact that they brought up Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit last week.
Yeah.
I was like, that's considering they're using flip phones. That's very current.
I mean, they're burners.
They're bringing it, really bringing it up to 2015 on that one. So it was a relevant.
I'm pretty sure the guy's got a MySpace page.
Yeah, it was a relevant one, but it was a little weak. I give you that. Probably because they just didn't have the time to give the backstory on it.
Right, and it just it seemed really rushed. Just to be like, let's plug this in so we can aid them in their escape. So it was relevant to the episode. But as far as like a Black, I guess that's why Red had him on reserve, because he was like, you can just kind of help me escape, or push the focus of the FBI elsewhere while we escape. But this kind of turned into something I slightly liked about Red, and I know you said that Red kind of stabbed one of his guys in the back. I felt like he almost did it because the troll farmer was so reluctant on helping. Like, you're here too early. This won't work. We only have 20%. And hey, Red, after this, I'm out.
And
Don't
he was
call
quite
me.
disrespectful too.
Yeah, he was really like kind of cocky, and I feel like almost resentfully Red did that to him in a sense as well.
In the troll farmer's defense.
In the troll farmer's
He thought he had a week.
Yeah.
He did think he had a week. But the one thing, too, I'll say about the whole troll farmer thing, and remember last week I was saying, I kind of hope they don't get away from the blacklist. And then when it started with, like, this episode, Blacklister number 38, the troll farmer, okay, there's something to maintain a thing about that. Here's the thing that bothered me a little bit. His hideout is this street front house with apparently only a front door, because even Red and Liz had to come in and go out the front door. Yet he's got a team of 50 people jam-packed inside. Does nobody ever look at that and think, there's an awful lot of people going in and out of that house every single day?
Geez, their internet usage is out of control.
Their electricity bills
they
through the roof.
torrent a lot. They're downloading a lot of it. The MPAA is going to want to look into these guys.
Let's see what's going on in there.
And what about you, Kat? What are some of the things that didn't sit well with you?
Well, I mean, you guys also already knew my thing with blonde hair. Sorry, I'm a girl. I had to point that out. And with dark hair, who tried to go blonde once, it was not cute. But I agree with you on him just completely giving the troll hunter away. However, I was really kind of taken aback by the fact that, I don't know why this bothered me, but the fact that Reddington didn't think that Ressler knows how he works. Ressler and his whole team has been working with Reddington for 2 years. And so when he was like, he's sending all of our information to the south, obviously we're going to go north. Like, I wonder why Red didn't think of that. Yeah. Because when they were...
just needed 30 more seconds.
I know,
I think he knew
but
Ressler
still.
would figure it out. But he thought he would have enough time
to get Keen out,
to get Keen out, and was real close.
Yeah, because that kind of bugged me that he didn't like send them to everywhere except like one street. They sent them all south. Like you didn't send them north and south and east, but all south. Like, why didn't you make a bigger distraction?
Sure.
Why didn't you send cops to every inch of the city except for like all in one place? Sure. That was my one like big thing with it.
I have one, and it's something. It's a part of the episode I would be wanting to bring up was. So Dembe is a cliffhanger now. So he got handed. He's in a conflicting situation right now, and I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's a negative, but it's like if someone handed me a gas mask, I would be a little hesitant to breathe it in. You know what I mean? Like I guess he's just. Dedicated. He's like, all right, I've got to save my granddaughter. I'll breathe in whatever you want. Let's do it. But I mean, he didn't hesitate at all. I just feel like that's a little bit funny, but I'm also really interested to see how that pans out. Like what they're going to make him do.
I'm also curious though, is that nerve agent that they gave his granddaughter, is that even real? Because Cooper's brain tumor wasn't even real.
Who knows?
Did they just say that to manipulate Dembe into taking him hostage? Or?
I guess if it's your granddaughter, you don't play around with that. But I remember thinking to myself as I was watching that scene, especially after watching the way Dembe just dismantled everybody protecting that guy.
Yeah.
If I wanted Dembe to go, okay, so you're saying unless I do what you tell me, like I could kill you, but if I did, then my granddaughter's okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start shooting you in the knees, and then I'm going to, with my teeth, rip out your fingernails and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to use the heel of this 12 size boot and crush one of your testicles at a time.
Yeah.
And we'll see how long this tough guy act kind of plays itself.
He rehearsed that.
Yeah, I wanted to see Dembe kind of pull that.
Yeah.
It's like that'll end this storyline real quick.
Sure.
But the other thing that I wanted to laugh at was when Ressler's talking to Red on the phone and he says, "I will find you." I did love Red's response to that, but I almost wanted to say, it's like, lest we forget where this whole show started. You were heading the task force for 5 years to try to find him, and you didn't do shit. Yeah. So I don't see why Red's going to think you're a problem to him right now.
Yeah.
So I don't see how that's going to happen. All right, folks. Well, listen, that's a lot of our positive. I mean, overall, just a great episode.
Awesome.
Great season premiere.
Well done.
So excited. Great beginning, great ending. Can't wait to see week 2. But we said we're going to take a little bit of time and take some of your questions. So once again, you want to get your questions to us, just hop on Twitter and put out a tweet using the hashtag Collider Blacklist. That way we can see it. And you don't just have to tweet to us tonight. You can tweet to us all through the week, and we will see those tweets. As long as you put that hashtag in there, we'll see the tweets that you're sending out, and then maybe you'll see a tweet of yours next week. So for now, let's get to the first Twitter question that we have. And the first one here comes to us from Evan, who writes, "How long do you guys think Liz and Red are going to be on the run? Can this arc last a season?" Xavier, what do you think?
I feel like it will. I mean, obviously now Liz is in the custody of the Russian government, but I still stick with my prediction of last week. I feel like they're going to stay on the run, but are going to be working with the task force in the similar way they were having the last 2 seasons of giving them blacklisters along the way. I feel like they're going to stick to that formula, and they sort of have. It's rung
Which is
true
great.
with this first episode.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Yeah.
Agreed.
But I feel like what's going to be really exciting, especially in the next few episodes, is seeing Liz and Red on the run separately.
Yeah.
And not together. Because now they're both on the run, but they're on the run to get back to each other, which I think is going to be really, really interesting.
See, I kind of got a feeling, I don't think it'll end next week, but I do not think this will last long. This on the run thing will last long. And I actually have a little bit of a feeling from watching that. Here's a 30-second preview of next week. I got a feeling Liz and Ressler are going to be on the run together.
Oh, you think Ressler's going to pull something out?
I think Ressler may, because I think he's going to save her and give her that benefit of the doubt. And I think there's a chance they may be running together. But even if that happens, I don't see On the Run lasting past episode 5.
I agree.
That's just me. What do you think, Wendy?
I was going to say episode 4 because if you saw that 30-second teaser, it seems like either they're going to catch, I don't think they'll catch both. I think they're going to either catch Red or they'll catch Liz. Obviously, Liz disappeared in that teaser, so I think they're going to capture Red, and he's going to have to work with the FBI and giving them blacklisters in order to find safety for Liz.
I don't think they're ever catching Red again.
Oh, I don't think Red
I think
will.
Red
Really?
only gets caught when he
No.
wants to get
Well,
caught.
I mean,
maybe he comes in.
Maybe
saw-
he gets
actually,
caught once she gets caught. Maybe.
Yeah, but only if he brings himself in.
But
That's
only if he does.
Because
At
they
the
do
very
end up
end
in the
there, the
same
very end there,
space.
we
Yeah.
saw them planning an escape for Liz, right? They were. She was on her way to the airport. They're like, if she gets on that plane, she's dead. And then the last thing we saw
I think that's
was
the Russian government was escorting her back to Russia.
Yeah.
They were
Red
going
is
to
like,
kill her
yeah,
because they're
we gotta
she's
get her
leaving
out.
Russia
He was
back
talking
And
in.
then everybody showed up.
Well, now we're assuming he was talking to Ressler on the phone, saying she gets on that plane because he does say you have to stop that thing.
What if it's Tom?
What if he's talking to Tom?
Yeah.
What if
Who
it's
knows?
Tom?
Little
Or
Mr.
John-
X?
Jacob or
Yeah.
whatever.
All right, let's go to the next Twitter question,
question,
we got
bro.
here. That was a great question. This one comes from Dr. John Beggins Nygaard, who writes,
All right.
do you guys think Ressler will eventually find Red at some point?
No.
He's had 5 years to do it and never
No.
came close.
Red's going to find him.
No.
Red could find him anytime
Oh,
he
easy.
wants.
What
that's
if
for
Ressler
sure.
goes home and goes to bed, and then all of a sudden his closet door opens and it's
Just
Red with a
click,
gun?
click,
Like,
yep,
hi,
exactly.
how you doing?
I agree. I think the
I
only
see.
time that Ressler will find him is if he wants to be found.
Exactly.
Same as it always has been.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, like, nobody's brought it up. Like, not Ressler, not Red. It's like, Red can go, hey, you know, I'm desperate for you to take it easy on Liz. Hey, remember that time we were in that plexiglass prison together and you were dying and I saved your life?
Yes,
Time
seriously.
to cash that in.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Like, I'm surprised nobody brought that up yet, but we'll see if
a
they
good
bring it
point.
up a little bit later.
Yeah, he literally saved his life. He watched one of his own people get shot in the head.
Yeah.
Because he was saving
he wasn't
Ressler.
gonna
Come
give
on,
him up.
Ressler. Pay it forward.
All right, we got time for one more. Let's bring up one more here. And this one comes from Nick Vargas, and he writes, do you think Ressler, everyone wants to talk about Ressler, do you think Ressler is going to side with Red and Liz at one point this season to take on a bigger threat? I agree with Xavier on this. I think at some point, I think it's going to be within the next 5 episodes, they're going to find a way to get back to their status quo. That Liz and Red will be working with the FBI again. That means working with Ressler. And they're going to start to try to deal with this Cabal situation. Led by this new guy. Now, Dembe is going to be a problem. There are a lot of complications coming up now. I don't really know which way they're going, but I got a feeling that you're right. I think at some point, relatively soon, they got to get back to their flow. And I think, and then disrupt the flow again later if you need to. But I think eventually you got to get back to the flow. So yeah, I think they are going to work together again, but I think it'll be on this side of the law. Although we are going to see Ressler do something outside the law in the next episode to save Liz's life. We'll see how that unrolls. How do you see it playing out?
I kind of agree with you, honestly. Like I hope that they get back to their flow. I hope that they get back to what they've been doing because it's been working so well and I've really enjoyed it. However, I don't want it to happen in like 2 weeks. I want this running to continue for a couple more episodes because there's only so many episodes of this person we're going to catch by the end that, you can kind of watch before you go, all right, I get it. At the end of the episode, it's going to be tied up in a bow. But yeah, I think that Ressler's going to, he's going to kind of, his conscience is going to catch up with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually they're going to have to team up to work together because there is a bigger threat there. But I think Ressler right now is still struggling with what is right and what he really, really knows. And he just needs to dig it up and admit to it. That Liz is innocent. Just go ahead and help her, show everybody that she's being framed. So I think this season is going to be a major character development for Ressler, more than we've ever seen in the past 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, and I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, I think we all forget this sometimes, myself included.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
She wasn't framed.
Not for the
She actually assassinated the Attorney General of the United States.
Like 10 people
for
all the
killing
other stuff.
All
the other
she
stuff.
definitely
CIA
killed
people
the
she
guy.
didn't kill. The other people she didn't
But
kill.
that's
But
the
she
neat-
shot that guy.
That's the neat little twist they put into this. That's the complication they put in here, which I thought was really smart for them to do. Is that at the end of this, like, wait a minute, it's not about proving her innocence. She did do it.
I literally
How are
was
they going
just
to get
about to
around
say
that?
it when you started that sentence. I was like, I know what you're going to say because I was going to say it too. Like she has been framed.
Even
for
if
half
she
of
was
it.
cleared for the other stuff, she'd probably be looking at life in prison or death for that
she
anyway.
didn't just kill any. I mean, granted, she killed a person, but it was the Attorney General.
Yeah.
But what if they prove that he was a terrorist, so therefore she
that's
was just
the
doing
only-
her job?
That's the only way I see them finding a way out of this.
Yeah.
But I love it when a show or a movie gives me a situation of, I cannot possibly conceive of how you get around this. I love that.
I think I have a prediction that just came to my brain. I just real quick. I think the Cabal is going to, because all of this stuff is going to start coming out in the newspapers because he gave the fulcrum to all these journalists. What if the Cabal is now just going to pin it all on the dead Attorney General? Be like, oh yes, you're right. This was happening. It was all him. He was going to bring it to us. It was all him, all him, all him.
Maybe.
So that
That's
maybe then when she
actually-
comes back, they can be like, you actually did the United States a service because you did kill a now known terrorist.
All right, and guys, I have a real quick question for you about this, about the
Real quick
prediction thing,
answer.
real quick. So I read I saw an interview with Reddington last week, and he was like, "Cool," and the interview was last week. He's like, "Yeah, we're filming episode 6 right now."
They're only that far ahead?
Well, that's what he said. He said it was on the Today Show, and he said, "Yep, we're up to we're filming episode 6." So, I mean, this is a question I generally have. What is the benefit of filming as they go, as compared to filming the whole season and then airing it? Are they able to manipulate and change the ending depending on how viewers are enjoying the first couple episodes? How does it work?
Well, a network television where you're going to have 22, 23, 24 episodes, it's different than, say, like Netflix, where Dennis, do you remember how many episodes Daredevil was? Was it 12?
Yeah, Netflix does like 12 to 13.
Right, 12 to 13. So that's about 6 hours of what you can shoot that and then release a season. 22 episodes?
Yeah.
You run a couple of risks too, because when you got a show that's long, if something major culturally shifts, like let's say you have an episode where Red talks about how his hero is Bill Cosby, and then all of a sudden stuff, as you get now 3 months later, long after you shot that, things about Bill Cosby comes out and things that are like,
fair enough.
I'm just using that as an example.
Sure.
Right.
You can't get too far ahead of yourself in case of major cultural shifts that might reflect on the show, but also it's a lot of shooting. Instead of like 12 episodes, you got double the amount of episodes. So I think a lot of these network shows, you are filming as the shows are airing.
Yeah.
I would just think that they'd be a little bit further ahead. I would think they'd be like on episode 12 or 13 by now.
Do you think
Yeah.
they would be manipulating the script depending on how people are reacting to the ratings and how people are reacting to what's going on
I
in
think
the
that's
first
a
episode?
great theory.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't doubt
it depends on the show too.
I mean,
though.
if something significant happens in the first episode and the ratings are sky high, what's to say they're not like, wow, that really worked. Let's get more of that into the
Right.
later
Well, we
episodes.
even talked about that last
I
week.
mean, this is completely a question I'm just interested in.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
I mean,
so if
you-
anyone out there knows, let me know. But I'm interested.
because
so.
you said last week when you guys were talking about them maybe toying with the idea of like Liz and Ressler together, like that you thought that they were just throwing that out there and testing the
I did,
waters.
yeah.
And so then when they realized that it wasn't working,
There's no
they just
chemistry.
pulled it back, pulled it back. So that's a really
maybe,
good question
yeah,
because I read an article about I know season 3 of Hannibal just ended and it ended in this really crazy, amazing way. And everyone was like, did you know that the series was not getting picked up for a 4th season when you did this episode? And they were like, no, we had no idea. We had already wrapped. Like it has potential to keep going. So that's a really good question. Like
okay.
it just depends, I think, on the length of the show.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you carry on.
Someone
Well, I
tell
mean,
us-
that's actually it. I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of wraps up this
Yeah.
episode of our Blacklist recap show. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Listen, don't forget, jump in the comments section. Leave us your thoughts on this episode. Like, what are some of the things you loved about this episode? What are some of the things that left you scratching your head about your episode? What are some of the things you laughed at this episode? Let us know your thoughts and give us your predictions as well. Let us know where you think we're going to be heading in the next couple episodes as well. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me, sitting over here, of course, Miss Wendy Lee. Wendy, where can people find you online?
On Twitter and Instagram at Wendy Lee Zaney.
Of course, sitting over here on my right, Mr. Xavier Brinkman. Xavier, where can people find you?
Xavier Brinkman or at Xavier Brinkman on Instagram and Twitter.
And of course, on the end, Kat Ensley. Kat, where can people find you?
At Kat Ensley on Instagram and Twitter.
Woo!
And you guys can find me on Facebook and on Twitter, just at John Kamen. One quick plug, 48 hours left on my Kickstarter campaign for my new novel, The Pride, that comes out in December. So you got 48 more hours. If you want to reserve your autographed copy or any of the other rewards that are there, just go to Kickstarter.com and search for The Pride, and you'll see the full list of rewards and
involved.
everything.
Help him out, guys.
That'll do it for this installment of the Blacklist recap show. Don't forget, guys, we got lots of others. We've got the Flash recap show going. We got Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We got Empire. We got Supergirl coming. Whole bunch of shows for you guys. Make sure you're checking them out. I want to thank you once again for joining us here. Make sure you put the word out, let everybody know, and come back and talk with us about the Blacklist again next week. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.